Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Boz Show. We have a great show for you tonight. We are going to first share with you a premiere that is, well, actually, we're premiering our documentary next week. We do have a trailer for you that we've prepared that I will show you right now. Welcome back to American Tradiction, a journey of breaking carb addiction.
That was that moment that I said, that's what addiction looks like.
If you don't get either mad or sad,
Sorry.
you're good. Let those flow. It's real. This is why people hide.
To be able to just to say, okay, it's in his diet, and we may not even need to, visit, for medicine from a physician.
Right.
So that was huge.
So I am super excited about that. It turned out really awesome. The process of watching Michelle and her journey has been inspiring to me to remember the things you don't know when you first start out on the ketogenic journey, and then unpacking them for her and watching the struggles, the successes, and just some of the dots connect in looking at what things are changing during the ketogenic diet and how that ripples into her family and her relationships. So we are looking forward to watching Michelle. You will see the premiere next week on Sunday with me, and then we will have a weekly release on Tuesdays, every Tuesday for the next 11 weeks as we count down to what will be her 6th-month update at the first part of June. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is I have another big thing happening that I have been on hold for a while. As many of you know, I have an online course about teaching the ketogenic diet, but it actually isn't the first online course that I ever recorded. For about a decade, I have been hired to give a workshop seminar on the approach that I use to help people with an injured brain. And this workshop started out actually I did it to several inmates. We gave this inside jails to try and watch how injured brains could be healed. Amazing progress, amazing program. But then that led to teaching several teachers, several counselors, and then eventually I got into the Department of Defense and was teaching parts of the military on what does it take for you to repair an injured brain. And this workshop is my favorite. It's where my passion is. It's what my whole clinic has been built around for the last 20 years is chronic disease management. And then how do those chronic diseases fit together is measured inside how their brain is functioning. And I've really found that it's the true heartbeat of my clinic. It's what I do in my medical practice is repair brains. But the process that I use doesn't take a prescription or a medical degree. It's some basic rules on what do I do to help patients improve their brain. Yes, there's lots of things that go on the medical level, but there is a huge foundation of information and processes that you do not need to be a physician to follow or to understand. And you sure as heck don't need that to teach others, especially that younger generation, on what things they're doing that injure the brain and how to form the best brains. The workshop has lots of stories in it. In fact, every module is either a patient story or a story from sometimes my kids or my family, and what do I want for my kids and their brains, and what do I care about. And as I teach those through these modules of stories, it's my favorite workshop. It goes by in a flash. It's 12 hours, but it's my favorite. So let me just show you a little bit of the copy that I am using to teach this, or to show you what this is all about. I will be releasing this for sale starting the first week of, it'll actually go on sale April 4th, and we'll close sales April 9th. We are having limited seating this time, and I'm just really excited to see who will join me in this amazing course, because I hope that people, much like the keto online course, it isn't just about the person who buys that course. It's about what they do with this tool of a teachable process that really has changed thousands of lives It's, again, the reason I wanted to figure out how to do online courses was to teach this, the brains course. And what I ended up teaching was keto because of the timing, and it was a project that I could get a little help with. But now I'm releasing my baby. I really like it. All right, so let me show you the copy that I have written to just tell more about this online course. All right, so it is called Brains, From Trauma to Repair. And again, this is my favorite work. That video right there is actually my son doing a jump rope. Again, one of the many things that we go through. What are some of the neuroscience behind improving a brain, repairing a brain? And I think most importantly, why do brains get injured? This is, again, something that I think is obvious, but maybe it's not. So when I look at this, what I want out of this is I want to inspire leaders. I want them to lead your community. And I mean, I'm talking to you, whether you're a coach or a teacher or mayors or bosses or preachers or moms or dads. This 11 module course teaches others about how to understand when you're injuring a brain and then what to do to repair that. And, you know, it was one of the places where I made sure all 3 of my teenage boys had to help mom on some of these seminars where they would have to advance the slides for me and help me, you know, facilitate the workshop. And of course, it's not because I needed the help. It's because I wanted them to be present as I was teaching other people, knowing that if they saw me teaching other people, they were going to learn this very important process. Again, this copy is what I wrote because it's true to my heart. Healing brains is my passion. After helping thousands of patients heal their brains, the hunger for this information is what pushed me to get it out of my exam room and into audiences that can help teach their children, their students, their athletes. As the information circled, the Department of Defense hired me to teach soldiers and their leaders about injured brains and how to heal them. I led seminars that would book this 12-hour workshop to teach therapists and counselors what are the basic rules that I have in my clinic that I use to heal a brain. I've had communities in crisis where they've had addiction wiping through their community and saying, how do you heal from this? And that process is what, again, inspired me to say, this shouldn't just be in the therapists or the leaders or the military. It should be in moms and dads and preachers and teachers and coaches. And again, I hope that those that invest in this course and show up for my first inaugural class, that you get the best of this. I will be leading online question and answers. I will deliver these 11 modules in 4 weeks, 3 weeks for the core curriculum. And the 10th module is, again, my favorite. It requires that you group think and you problem solve. In fact, I don't have any of my modules that are, well, I don't think any of them are boring, but they really do come together in the final module where you have built up your knowledge base to solve a patient problem. So again, what makes people's brains injured? Everything from concussions to sleep apnea, diabetes, drugs, obesity, marijuana, chronic depression, alcohol, prescription medications, high blood pressure. These injuries have happened in layers in most of my patients that come and seek help. And I really believe that when you look at your brain today, it's not the brain that you need to have forever, but you do need to understand the rules about how to repair a brain and how to stop injuring it. As I look at several steps in how I designed this, I don't like going to boring lectures any more than anybody else, but I designed this to really attract the beginning learner about brains, and that I teach these lessons to my patients that suffer from brain injuries, and together we would advance their knowledge one story at a time. This curriculum is really based around stories and cases that I've had in my clinic or in my consulting practice. And then I use this small group. I use the group think as a way to really biohack your education, to make sure you, again, are not bored during this process. And although COVID has pushed a lot of people to put their courses online, this is unlike any online course you've ever seen before. It really has, it has a personality that comes about when you go to go to the workshop. I've had people attend my live workshops 5 and 6 times. After the 5th or 6th time, I'm like, are you still learning something new? And they're like, every time you present this, every time I hear this and I go through the same puzzle you gave me last time, I learn something new. I remember something more. And that's why the online access will then give you a lifetime ability to, what I hope is you take this and you make it a workshop in your world. You teach it to the students in your therapy class. You teach it to your patients. And you use this module over and over again as a way to not just carry the burden of storytelling with education, but really deliver this in a way that it roots into changed behavior for patients who've struggled with brain injury or who want to prevent their brains from being injured. All right, so originally I called this Brains of Addiction, but I have changed that to simply Brains. Because it isn't just about addicted brains that I am working on, although they are the hardest to heal. It did start out as an addiction process, and you're going to hear a lot about what I use in the approach for those that have been addicted, and then just to give you some background in where these addictions come from and how easy it is to end up on the side of an addictive process. The 10 modules are first based on sleep. We then talk about BDNF and repairing your brain. We look at different ways where you heal a brain versus things that prevent your brain from healing. I talk specifically about the hippocampus. This is absolutely where every one of my adolescent lectures is designed to make sure they do not leave that place without knowing what the hippocampus is. I talk about concussion as well as an alcohol comparison, something that I think every coach should do this exact module, and I teach you how to do that in the course. I talk about fetal alcohol, I talk about marijuana, prescription drugs, and then the real crux of addiction. So again, this just goes through the different modules. The introduction is not boring. Well, like I said, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have to answer a question. And the question is hard. It's meant to make you think, and then I don't let you move on until you get the question right. Once you get the question right, then I give you a lecture on how you should have thought through that. And that's why taking this course multiple times turns into very rewarding, because you do see the knowledge you've built up each time you take the course. Module number 2 is about BDNF. We then go into different aspects about sleep. I then show you the assessment that I require every one of my brain injury patients to take before seeing me. And that comes with the course, that you get to take the assessment as just your way of looking at what would this teach you? What does it teach me? I have lots of therapists that adopt that process after they've seen it. Very cost effective for court service officers, but as well for just therapists in general. Again, you can't get out of the course without knowing about your hippocampus. We talk about brains and trauma, specifically going into alcohol, fetal alcohol syndrome, marijuana, prescription drugs. And then the final moment is when you are in this module that I think is the best part of the workshop, and that is you are asked to be on a city council. And this, again, is near and dear to me. The people that make the rules within your community are often uneducated about what they're asking people to do inside a jail struggling with addiction, mental health, and brain injuries. And they give them tasks that are so far out of their ability with that injured brain. And then they say, well, what else would you do? And in this final module, you become the city council. And I give you a patient case and say, here's your resources. You get 3 things you get to do for this, 3 rules you get to make in your community. What would you do? And again, this impact that it's had on some of these communities in crisis really makes them think. They want every one of their city council people to take this course. And it changes the core about the conversation happening around not just injured brains, such as those struggling with autism or post-concussion or severe depression or malnourishment, but truly, how do you repair a brain? Not with a bunch of my prescriptions, but what are the rules before that? Of course, I have prescriptions that can help, but that's not the biggest answer behind step 1. My prescription is not going to work very well if you don't do some of these other things. The final module is my favorite part about really bringing the group together, and it's what drives people to come back again and again to this lecture. I can't say enough about how much I enjoy teaching this, and when I launch this course on April 4th. We will have live question and answers every Wednesday for the 4 following weeks after the course has been closed. We'll close the course on April 9th. And I really hope that you'll join me in the classroom, especially those people who want to spread leadership of the improvement of their brains to their family and friends, as well as their community. So I hope to see you there. I hope you sign up for the course, and I will be looking forward to those of you in that classroom.